I would like to acknowledge that we are learning together on the unceded traditional territory of the Okanagan Silks people. Good morning. At this time, I would like to welcome the staff and students of Mount Boucherie Secondary School, as well as the honorable guests and community members that are here joining in our assembly today. When planning today's assembly, we were very intentional about what was included, the reverence and respect during the assembly, and the ways that we will show remembrance. That means that even though we are not gathered in the gymnasium as a large group, we do wish that formalities be recognized and respected. As such, I request that you remove any hats and please stand for the playing of our national anthem performed by our Mount Boucherie Concert Band. Please remain standing for a performance of the Okanagan song performed by MBSS graduate Phoenix Prince in recognition that we are gathering today on the unceded traditional territories of the Okanagan Silks people. You can now be seated. We would like to recognize that November 8th was Indigenous Veterans Day. We honor the important contributions made by First Nations, Inuit, and Métis veterans in service to Canada. 100% of Indigenous male able-bodied people in the Okanagan volunteered their efforts for the wars, and they received medals for doing so, even though volunteering wasn't a requirement for these Indigenous men. They thought this was a very important thing to do. The following is a video honoring those that served. In past years, we have invited a guest speaker to address our school community. This year, we would like to continue that tradition. I would like to now share with you a few words from Sergeant Cody Romanchuk of the British Columbia Dragoons.
Good morning. I'm Sergeant Cody Romanchuk with the British Columbia Dragoons. I was asked to speak with you today by Mr. Harbour, who asked if I could give a presentation for your Remembrance Day ceremony on the subjects of duty and what Remembrance Day means to me. By being here and the fact that it became an order by my commanding officer, I no longer had a choice, and as you can see, I said yes. While I jumped at the opportunity, the longer I sat, thought about it, the more I realized how personal this subject was, and that the standard answers taught about duty and Remembrance Day by the Army do not quite apply to my personal view of the subject. Regarding the term duty, lines like Canada before oneself and mission first come to mind. These sayings carry weight and shape my view of what duty means to me, but as I dive to find more personal meaning, I start to see the parallels that connect from me as a soldier to who I am as a person. Duty to me is an attempt at conducting yourself in a manner in which you benefit everyone around you. In your personal life, that can mean being a pillar in a relationship. While serving, it can represent a person who those around you know is there to support them in both the completion of the mission, professional development, or moral support. Duty is putting the needs of others or an organization first to accomplish something that is larger than that of the individual, to achieve goals that may not produce individual recognition or satisfaction, but rather to create a better environment for the team. I guess overall, it boils down to one word that carries a lot of weight and best summarizes the importance of this time of year: sacrifice. So what does Remembrance Day mean to me? Again, the word sacrifice is a fitting way to sum up what this day is all about. However, the older I get and the more experience in life and in service, the meaning changes, and to myself it becomes more important to ask, what do I feel on Remembrance Day? Like many people watching this, I've had family members fight in wars, specifically my grandfather, who served as an infantry in Italy during the Second World War. While I was growing up, I remember him telling me stories about the conflict and the loss that he experienced. This is what most people think of when they think of Remembrance Day. They see images of aged veterans, some that can barely muster the strength to stand up while they play the last post, fighting aching bones and the memory of pain in which they face as though it happened yesterday. As I grow up and my experiences shape my life, the feeling of this day becomes more and more personal. Within my time in the Army, I have met colleagues who have become close friends. Their stories of war in places like former Yugoslavia and Afghanistan circulate in my head now on this day. And the feelings on this day become more relatable and more real. And now, to me, at least, the image of Remembrance Day, along with the old vets from a lifetime before us, is now young men and women standing there in sacrifice and in silence. For myself, the discovery of overwhelming feeling and trying to decipher the emotion driving this came months after I returned from my deployment with the Canadian Armed Forces. I deployed in 2019 on Operation Unifier to Ukraine. Our job was to assist the training of the Ukrainian forces to help them fight foreign-backed separatists in the east of the country. For us, we were not in direct combat, but we were training these brave young Ukrainian men and women to go fight their war. Reflection has brought me to a place that caused me to see similarities. I remember the faces of a few 18 to 20-year-old Ukrainians who I had trained. I remember shaking their hands as they boarded a transport vehicle directly to the front lines. Filled with curiosity and pride that maybe some of what I taught them may have saved their lives, but also an immense feeling of guilt that maybe I did not teach them enough. I often wonder if they made it out of the mud-filled trenches of the Donbass. The similarities caused me to think of the young Canadians who shipped out to fight in wars from the First World War all the way up to Afghanistan. The sacrifice made by our young country citizens is what shaped all we have today. People who charged bravely into the unknown to fight for goals that did not give out individual recognition or satisfaction. People who answered the call, Canada's call to duty. What I feel on this day, an overwhelming sense of emotion. I've had the pleasure to meet some of these people who fulfilled that duty, and that Canada has citizens who are willing to fill those shoes. I feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for those that laid down their lives so we could live ours.
This year, the Mount Boucherie Concert Band, under the direction of Mr. Tom Klassen, will perform on a hymn song of Philip Bliss. Every year, as part of our Remembrance Day service, in Flanders Fields is read. This year, more than 100 years after it was written, In Flanders Fields will be recited by Ella Newman and Michaela Young and signed by Jaden Barrow and Haley Monroe.
In Flanders Fields, poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. At mark our place in the sky, the lark still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up the quarrel with our foe, to you from failing hands be thrown. The torch be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith, with us you die. We shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
We now ask you to stand for the last post, performed by Tyler Funk, and will be followed by a moment of silence to remember those that have fought for our freedom. You may now be seated. At this time, I would like to conclude the live stream portion of our assembly. Your teachers will now outline your next activity. Thank you for being such respectful audience for our Remembrance Day assembly today.